Hey everybody, good evening. This is going to be video 880. I do apologize, my voice is going to sound really bad. Drinking some paint water, fresh paint water. Um, yeah, I want to talk a little bit about the election results today. It'll be real kind of short, I think, because I kind of have heard the same thing from like three different sources today as, well, it wasn't that bad, which is true. I mean, it wasn't, well, that's not true. It is bad. It's not as bad as it could have been. But here's my observation of that is for the general populace, um, it wasn't that bad because um, the people that are currently getting bullied and targeted and having the shit kicked out of them, specifically transgender Americans, um, we're still getting shit on, kicked to the ground, bullied, and nobody gives a crap about us. And so today, I was talking with someone at work, and they were like, I made the explain that in my state, in Indiana, um, I didn't have the rights that I did, 6 months ago, whatever. My daughter doesn't have the same rights she did as a woman, da 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 da. And they were like, yeah, but overall things are good. And it was a gay guy told this to me, and I talked about being transgender. That state legislature passed this anti-trans bill, and you can't get care and whatever. And he said, well, that's not that bad. And I think that right there is the gist of, I guess, my anger and my upset with what I'm going to say, kind of the LGB. I think the T is just kind of added as an afterthought. We don't know what you do with y'all, so climb on board. Um, you know, so we have that. And then we also have women, okay? Um, in the Atlanta election, quite a number of white women voted for the Republican governor over the black um, Stacey Abrams, okay? And Governor Kemp has said the first thing he's going to do is pass a bill or aim to pass, call a session, what you call it, to totally ban abortion in the state. And so here you have women who voted to have their rights taken away. It just doesn't, it blows my mind. Okay. And in other parts of the country or whatnot, people seem to be okay with it. They're like, yeah, well, woman's right to choose and, the fetus and da 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 da. And it just angers me because it just shows how much they don't care. They didn't care before. They're not going to care in the future, you know? And transgender thing is just the same way, you know? Obviously, we are easy fruit, to bash. Um, but anyway, so I guess what I want to say is, um, I want the little spiteful bitch in me, the little girl who's upset. I want these people who say no big deal. I want them to get a belt, that you'd wear around your waist, or a piece of cloth, a piece of rope would be ideal, but, get you a necktie. You're a guy, you probably have a necktie. I did at one point, I had lots of neckties. And then I want you to take the hand you write with, and I want you to hold it on your chest like this, and I want you to have a friend I don't know if you can, probably you could figure out how to do this yourself, but I want you to tie a loop around your writing hand, and then I want you to throw that over your shoulder, bring it around, and tie it. Okay? I want you to take your dominant hand and put it against your chest, bind it to your chest, and live for a week or two or three. I want you to live that way until um, women's rights are restored. The issue is that you are not inconvenienced in any way, shape, or form, so it does not matter to you. But to roughly more than half the population, it does. And somehow we're just dismissed. So that's okay. It doesn't matter. You know, let's talk about the real issue. The price of gas is just huge. Again, I want you to take your hand, tie it around make a little loop. And yeah, if it's no big deal, it's no big deal. You can't use your hand, right? It's no big deal. You know, if you're telling us women, it's no big deal. You don't have, you don't have privacy between you and your doctor. It's no big deal. Okay, fine. Let's try this experiment out. I want you to live for as long as it takes for us to get our rights back. And the same thing goes for members of the LGBTQIA plus community. If you happen to think that it's no big deal that 27 states have passed laws against transgender people, transgender kids, transgender youth, non binary people, if you think it's no big deal, then you also need to put your hand. You know, if a transgender child has to be inconvenienced and live their life in pain and suffering every day because the state doesn't think it's a big deal, well, hey, they should have to be the same inconvenience. I dare say it's not inconvenienced enough. But again, I really, like I said, three different people today. I said, I just, I don't know what to do. My daughter and me and, um, my friends. And they're just like, well, but overall it was okay. I mean, it wasn't a red wave. It was a splash. It was a, trickle. Well, for the next 2 years where I live, I don't have rights. My state senator says I don't exist. I'm not worthy of existing. I mean, you know, I guess the thing is it's not acceptable to just pass it off. You know, we really need to make it. I'm not saying we need to be like the transsexual menace was back in the 80s, throwing red paint on people and, being disruptive. Um, but I really think, like I said, if people are going to say it's no big deal, try again in 2 years. Yeah, going to try. But, it's kind of like when Black Lives Matter came out and people were like, well, all lives matter. When someone's sharing with you their pain and suffering, the worst thing you can do is say, well, cheer up. you know, fuck you too. That's what I say back. Both barrels. 1, 2. Swivel on it, punk. So, that's my video. So, um, like I said, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of just being passed off as, and yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm 50 years old. I transitioned. I get to live this way as best I can, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'm a boohoo, right? Cry me a river. But what's at stake is the youth, people in their 20s, people in their 10s, young kids. You know, the state bullies a transgender child, a trans transgender girl, a transgender boy, or a non binary child, that carries up all the way through to us, you know? Even if we are fully transitioned and living the dream, as it was, turns kind of a nightmare. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd much rather be where I am today than where I was 10 years ago. But the idea of just dismissing it as, oh, well, try again. No, put your hand up for a week, folks. Tie your hand up for a week. You tell me it's no big deal. Anyway, so that's my rant. I'm gonna shut up. Wish you the best of luck in your pursuit of being your authentic self as you define it. Bye bye.